In the heart of a bustling city, where skyscrapers touched the clouds and lights twinkled like stars, stood Whiskers' famous restaurant. It was a grand place with sparkling chandeliers, white tablecloths, and the delicious aroma of freshly baked bread wafting through the air. Whiskers, a fluffy orange cat with a white apron and a chef's hat tilted just so, was the star of the show.
All right, team. Let's make tonight's dinner the tastiest yet.
Yes, Chef Whiskers. More fish stew coming up.
His sous chefs, a team of talented cats, scurried around the kitchen, chopping vegetables and stirring pots, all under Whiskers' proud command. Every night, the restaurant was packed with guests, rabbit in tiny suits, birds in fancy hats, and even a few curious foxes eager to taste Whiskers' magical dishes. Life was perfect until disaster struck. One evening, a gang of jealous gray cats, led by a sneaky rival, crept into the restaurant's storage room. With wicked grins, they unleashed hundreds of squeaking rats into the pantry. The rats chewed through sacks of flour, nibbled on carrots, and turned the once pristine kitchen into a chaotic mess. By morning, the damage was done. The cat police arrived, their badges gleaming, and fined Whiskers a huge sum for the mess.
This is a health violation, Whiskers. You're shut down. Pay the fine or face the claws of justice.
Wait, officer, I swear I don't know how this happened. The rats just appeared. I'd never let my kitchen get like this.
Doesn't matter, Whiskers. Rules are rules. Pay up, and this restaurant is finished.
But I've spent years building this place. Please, give me a chance to fix it.
No exceptions. Clean out your apron and leave.
Worse still, they shut down his beloved restaurant. Whiskers sat alone in his tiny apartment, his fluffy paws covering his face as tears rolled down his cheeks. Everything he'd worked for was gone. Hours passed, and Whiskers felt lost in the darkness of his despair. But then, a memory flickered in his mind. A letter from his late grandfather, tucked away in a drawer. He'd always said, "Read this when you're tired, my boy." With trembling paws, Whiskers opened the drawer and pulled out the dusty envelope. Inside, his grandfather's words glowed like a beacon.
I've left you a farm in a small town outside the city. When life gets tough, start anew there.
Whiskers wiped his tears, a tiny spark of hope igniting in his heart. Maybe this was his chance to rise again. Whiskers arrived at his grandfather's farm, a rickety old place on the outskirts of a quiet town. The fields were dry and cracked, overgrown with wild weeds, and the barn leaned dangerously to one side. A little river trickled nearby, but even its gentle flow couldn't hide the farm's sad state. Whiskers dropped his bags, his whiskers drooping as he took in the sight. This wasn't the fresh start he'd imagined. It was a mountain of work. Still, he rolled up his apron sleeves and got to it. He chopped weeds with a rusty scythe, hammered nails into the barn, and planted seeds in a small garden patch. By evening, his paws ached, and he collapsed onto the grass, exhausted but determined. That night, Whiskers gathered some vegetables from his new garden and a fish he'd caught from the river. In the creaky farmhouse kitchen, he stirred a pot of soup, the steam warming his tired face. When he took a sip, a smile spread across his whiskers. It wasn't fancy, but it was honest and good, a taste of hope.
This soup needs more carrots, and maybe a pinch of love. Grandpa would have liked it.
That smells amazing, Whiskers. Can I have a taste?
Only if you help me weed the garden tomorrow, little friend.
The simple joy of cooking with his own hands reminded Whiskers why he loved food in the first place. It wasn't about fame or fancy restaurants. It was about sharing warmth and happiness. As the stars twinkled above the farm, Whiskers fell asleep dreaming of a new beginning. Summer arrived, painting the small town with golden sunlight and blooming flowers. Whiskers decided to explore the forest next to the farm, a wild place with towering trees and sunlight streaming through the leaves. He carried a basket, humming a tune as he picked apples and berries, imagining the pies he'd bake. The forest was alive with the chirping of birds and the rustle of leaves until a low growl shattered the peace. From behind a bush lumbered a massive brown bear, its eyes glinting hungrily at Whiskers' basket. The bear roared, demanding the fruit, and Whiskers' heart raced like a drum.
Give me that basket, little cat, or I'll eat you instead.
Whiskers bolted toward a tree, scrambling up the trunk with his claws as the bear swiped at the air below. Perched on a branch, Whiskers panted, his fluffy tail trembling. The bear wasn't giving up. It planted its huge paws on the trunk and shook the tree with all its might. Leaves rained down, and Whiskers clung tighter, yowling as the branch swayed dangerously. Thinking fast, he grabbed an apple from his basket and tossed it far into the bushes.
Take this apple and leave me alone, you big bully.
The bear's head whipped around, and it lumbered after the fruit, distracted. Whiskers slid down the tree, landing softly on the forest floor, his basket still in paw. But as he caught his breath, he noticed something. The bear's ear was torn and scarred, a jagged wound that looked old and painful. Curiosity overcame his fear, and Whiskers stepped closer as the bear munched on the apple.
Hey, big guy.
He called gently. The bear turned, surprised, and for a moment, they just stared at each other.
Hey, wait a second. What happened to your ear? It looks like it hurts.
Humph, the townsfolk did this. I went looking for food once, and they chased me with sticks and rocks. Thought I'd hurt them, but I just wanted a bite to eat.
That's awful. Here, have a few more apples. I'll talk to the mayor and see if we can help you fit in around here.
You do that? For me?
Sure would. Everyone deserves a chance and a good meal.
Whiskers pulled a few more apples from his basket and handed them to the bear, who took them with a hesitant paw. The bear's gruff face softened, and it nodded gratefully before lumbering back into the forest. Whiskers watched it go, his heart swelling with a mix of relief and determination. He'd escaped danger, but more than that, he'd found a new friend and a mission. Sprinting home with his scratched-up basket, he couldn't wait to tell the mayor about the bear. Maybe, just maybe, he could make the town a kinder place for everyone. After his forest encounter, Whiskers hurried into town, his scratched-up basket bouncing against his side. He marched straight to the mayor, a plump white cat with a booming voice, to report the bear.
Mayor, the bear's not bad. He's just hungry and hurt. Can we help him?
The mayor listened intently, his whiskers twitching as Whiskers explained the bear's torn ear and lonely story.
That poor creature.
The mayor mused, stroking his chin.
Let's go talk to him together, Whiskers.
So, with the sun high overhead, they trucked back to the forest. The bear lumbered out to meet them, wary but curious, and the mayor stepped forward with a warm smile. He offered the bear a job as the forest ranger, guarding the woods from troublemakers and poachers, and promised the townsfolk would build him a little cabin.
A job? A house? Thank you, Mayor, and you, Whiskers, for speaking up.
The bear's gruff face broke into a wide grin, and he shook Whiskers' paw with gratitude. Then, the bear sniffed the air, his nose twitching toward Whiskers.
You smell like good food, cat.
He rumbled.
You should open an eatery, feed this town like you fed me those apples.
The mayor clapped his paws, delighted.
Brilliant idea. Whiskers, your cooking could bring us all together.
Soon, the town buzzed with activity. The Robert carpenter sawed logs for the bear's cabin. The bird florist planted flowers around it, and everyone pitched in to build Whiskers' eatery on the farm. By week's end, a cozy cabin stood in the forest, and Whiskers' kitchen glowed on a wooden sign, its tables ready for guests. On opening day, the scent of fresh bread and apple pie drifted from Whiskers' kitchen, drawing a crowd. The bear sat proudly at his cabin's doorstep, watching the forest with new purpose. Whiskers beamed as he served his first bowls of stew, his heart full. His kindness had built not just a business, but a stronger, happier town. Whiskers' kitchen grew more popular every day, its garden blooming with vegetables and its tables crowded with happy customers. But not everyone was pleased. A sleek leopard, the owner of the town's tavern, glared from across the street as his own business emptied out. Jealousy twisted his spotted face, and one moonless night, he sneaked onto Whiskers' farm.
Let's see how long your little kitchen lasts now, Cat.
With a wicked chuckle, he released a swarm of rats into the pantry and tore up the garden, leaving muddy paw prints behind. When Whiskers woke up, he gasped at the sight. His vegetables trampled, his pantry ruined. Anger flared in his chest, and he stormed off to report the crime to the town's sheriff, a stern tiger with sharp eyes.
Sheriff, someone destroyed my garden and let rats loose. This can't go unpunished.
Don't worry, Whiskers. I'll sniff out the culprit. Nobody messes with my town.
The sheriff prowled the farm, his nose twitching as he followed the trail of paw prints. Whiskers watched, his paws clenched, determined to protect his new home. Little did he know this was only the beginning of the leopard's mischief. The townsfolk rallied to rebuild Whiskers' kitchen, replanting the garden and fixing the pantry with cheerful chatter. But trouble wasn't finished with Whiskers yet. One stormy afternoon, a pack of hungry hyenas burst through the gate, their jaws snapping as they demanded free food and threatened to smash everything.
Give us your stew, Cat, or we'll wreck this place.
Whiskers stood tall, his apron flapping in the wind, and faced them down with a wooden spoon in paw.
You'll get nothing but a fight from me.
A hyena lunged, grazing his arm with a claw, but before it could strike again, a mighty roar shook the air.
Get away from my friend, you pests.
The bear, now the forest ranger, charged in, his huge paws swatting the hyenas like flies. He pinned them down, growling fiercely, and Whiskers cheered as his friend saved the day. Together, they dragged the cackling hyenas to the sheriff's station. Under the sheriff's stern glare, the hyenas cracked, spilling the truth. The leopard had hired them to wreck Whiskers' eatery.
It was the leopard. He paid us to do it.
The bear growled, adding,
I saw that sneaky cat skulking near the farm the night the rats came.
The sheriff marched off and arrested the leopard, who hung his head as the townsfolk gathered, shouting for him to be banished.
Banish the leopard. He doesn't belong here.
But Whiskers stepped forward, his voice calm.
Wait,
He said.
he can stay if he works with me to make things right.
He offered the leopard a job as a bartender, a chance to redeem himself. The leopard nodded, humbled, and the crowd softened.
Thanks, Whiskers. I won't let you down.
With the leopard reformed, Whiskers' kitchen shone brighter than ever. The town threw a grand feast, with lanterns glowing and music dancing through the air. The bear stood guard, grinning as he nibbled an apple pie, while the leopard mixed drinks behind the counter. Whiskers served steaming bowls of soup, his heart full as laughter filled the night. From a ruined chef to a town hero, he turned hardship into harmony, proving that kindness and good food could heal any wound.